word. Is this a Lala Barina floret?
Lala Barina?
It's a monster, a Temnoceran. Smell. This is a very distinct paralytic poison. I must find more. I knew it. Definitely a Lala Barina. Based on the scent, this one's paralytic properties are on the lower end. Look, another one! Color hasn't faded. We must be near its nest. This is just the sweet intellectual nectar I thirsted for. Oh, this is so amazing, Forrest.
A bit eccentric, but he sure is useful.
Don't tell me he wandered off alone. He's incapacitated.
Touch that nest, and we'll be next. But
we can't leave him.
back me up.
I'll take it from here.
Counting on it.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and today, guys, we're going to be fighting Lala Barina. This is a super cool monster. I really didn't think it was going to be this amazing. I quite like it quite a lot. It's probably my favorite Spider-esque monster thus far, but let's talk about what it can actually do. So, it is still a very early monster, so it doesn't have a whole lot of like super things to worry about, but it has a couple of things in it that the other monsters themselves didn't have that we should actually talk about briefly. So first and foremost, this monster has the ability to paralyze you. It does this in a number of ways. It can either hit you with its little stinger, or it can hit you with the little flowers. You saw it in the little cutscene, the little flower thing. It throws them all over the place, and if you touch them, it'll paralyze you. So try not to touch those. Now, once it gets upset, it gets angry, it gets enraged, its abdomen turns into like this giant flower. It looks super cool, and that's when it really starts to get wild. It throws all those spores all over the place, and then it gets really difficult for you to actually not bump into them while trying to avoid its attacks. Speaking of avoiding its attacks, this thing is very much like a ballerina. It pirouettes all over the place and uses its legs to actually stab you. And again, the way in which it stabs you is very much like a ballerina sticking her leg out and, you know, pirouetting. So it's actually really, really cool. I seriously think this design for this monster is absolutely insane. I absolutely love this monster. But of course, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Its main thing is paralyzing you, causing you to take free hits after that, because once it paralyzes you, the monster is, for the most part, code is actually do its largest, most strongest, most devastating attack to you. It could be between the giant stinger that it does not once but twice. Watch out for it. If it does it once, it's going to do it again. That took a bit of getting used to, quite honestly. It actually will hang from the sky. You don't really get to see it too much, but it's something that it will do. It'll hang from the sky and spin like really, really quickly. It's a move that I'm pretty sure that Naricella had back in 4U, but this attack isn't like a super dangerous attack. It's really the attack with the stings you have to watch out for. The ones that themselves will actually get you with the paralysis on top of just doing huge amounts of damage to you. Outside of those particular attacks, the ones where it pokes its leg out at you, it'll kind of hit you with these little front feelers. The attack that it does once it actually becomes enraged and has the flower in its abdomen and it spins from the sky, the attack where it actually throws out all the spores everywhere. These are all these big things you really need to watch out for those. But if you want to know how to defeat this monster very quickly, if you paid attention to me to the last video when I said you guys really should make some of this fire chicken weapons, you're going to be in fantastic hands. It is susceptible to fire damage, rightly so using its weapons are going to do amazing damage to this monster, to the point to where it's almost 100% free. But once you do fight this monster and defeat this monster, because you know you figured out, oh, I can dodge this, I know how to avoid its spores, I know how to like not get hit by the pirouetting attacks, let's talk about gear. So once you beat Lala Barina and you go to the smithy to try and make some of its gear, I'm not even gonna pretend, I'm not gonna mince words, the armor itself is kind of ass. Like, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. It looks fantastic, but the skills you get from it are not very good. Let's actually take a look at the skills firstly. So the first skill you're going to get is paralysis resistance, which is good. Reduces the duration of paralysis by 30%, and the full set itself, if I'm not mistaken, has 2 points to it, so it reduces it by 60%, which isn't bad. That's not bad at all. It's a really useful skill to have, but it's not, in my opinion, worth having if the only monster that has paralysis early on is this thing. Now, there is a case to be made that having this particular armor set when fighting the next monster, which I won't say just yet, could be kind of useful because there's a thing that it can do with paralysis and whatnot. So if you will, sure, but realistically, to keep this armor, I really wouldn't do that. Outside of its main skill, the paralysis resistance, you get recovery up, and you get a large amount of it too. You get all 3 points to it. Now, recovery up, what it does, it increases the amount of recovery you get from items. So for example, think if you were to take a mega potion, I think mega potions do about 50% of your HP if you only have 100. Well, now with this, you could probably take a potion and it restore that same amount of health, and then a mega potion will probably restore 130%. Really useful skill. To be fair, this early in the game, you may not need this particular skill too much. Again, both of these skills are great skills to have, but these are skills you would want to put in to an armor set as opposed to have it be the only skills on an armor set. And of course, this group skill is the Neo Parasite Alert, aka it's Honey Hunter. This is the skill where if you go to honey points, you can get increased amount of honey. I think it's by double. I think 2 or 3 times the amount. So I think if you only get like 1, you can get up to 4 or something like that. Not bad, honestly, especially if you're gathering, but the armor, the skills, not that great compared to, you know, what we just had. But nevertheless, it'll get the job done. But what you're really here for is its weapons. Now, its weapons, pardon me, at least here I have upgraded my weapons from this monster, but nevertheless, the thing you need to really know about this monster is that these weapons are paralysis weapons. This game is insane. They gave us paralysis weapons this early. That's madness. Paralysis is exactly what it sounds like. You poke a monster enough with it, they don't move. It's like a free shock trap. You can get it to 2, maybe 3 times the hunt depending on the monster you're fighting. Super useful. I recommend getting this for sure. Make sure you get one of these weapons. They don't have the highest amount of attack, which is par for the course, because usually weapons with statuses, they don't have a lot of attack, because the main purpose of them is to status them, having the status itself make up for the lack of the attack. In this case, being able to attack a monster for free for another like 10 seconds because it's not moving anywhere, or with poison by having the monster's HP tick down slowly even if you're not actually actively hitting the monster himself. These are the things about it that is actually really useful, and I genuinely think everyone should at least have one of its weapons in the repertoire. So to recap, Lala Barina is a monster whose main claim to fame is that it will give you, the hunter, paralysis. If you get hit by its stinger or you get hit by any of the spores that it gives off, the little petals if you will, enough hits with it will paralyze you. Also, in turn, you can use that same power in your own weapons you can get from it. So when you actually do defeat this monster and you make some of its gear, I highly recommend you make the weapons, because the weapons themselves are paralysis weapons. It's early in the game, it's phenomenal to have. Now, the attacks that it can do, again, I just spoke about how it has the spores. It will unleash these in a multitude of ways. Whenever it actually is enraged, the abdomen of the monster itself will blossom into like this giant rose or flower or something like that, and then it'll start spewing the spores all over the place. It can sometimes hang itself from the ceilings and then have the spitting attack where it leashes a ton more spores, and itself is a bit of a damaging move. Its stinger is its main weak point, so if you bring fire weapons, which you may have after you fought the fire chicken, which was the monster previous before this one, bring those and attack it on its stinger, its abdomen. This is where you can do the most amount of damage. When the monster itself gets really exhausted, that's when the abdomen will be more exposed to doing more fire damage to it, giving yourself opening to do lots and lots and lots of damage. Outside of that, that's just Lala Barina. Not a super terrible monster, a really good fight, a really fun monster. The design is absolutely phenomenal. I truly am a fan of it. It's probably my favorite spider monster to date. It's just so cool to actually fight. Now, it's not a super tough fight. You're probably going to get through it, not a whole lot of issues. I don't truly in earnest recommend making the armor, but the weapon's something I really recommend you guys actually do. But with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and hopefully you learned something while watching this. Also, the gameplay you're looking at right now, that is my friend 10K. He actually decided, hey, he would record some fights with me, so that way you guys can see multiple viewpoints for when it comes to hunting these monsters, because I only use lances and such. He uses Insect Glaive. Really cool. You get to see other cool, attacks and whatnot, so I think it'd be a nice trade-off. He gives me some of his gameplay, I give it to you guys, everyone's happy. But yeah, with that said, it's been your boy. Take care, and may the desire sensor forever be in your favor.